Welcome to the PantherPayments webinar. I am Soumya Natimi, the CEO of PracticePanther, and I just wanted to start and kick off by just saying thank you to all of you for joining us today. As many of you know, we launched a brand new reimagined version of PantherPayments just earlier this week. We're really proud of this new solution, and we just think it's going to be a game changer for all of our customers. As you'll hear about today, our new solution is built directly into PracticePanther, so you never have to leave your current system or workflows to do anything payments related. On top of that, we're really proud to be providing industry best compliance, transparent and low pricing, and a super easy and simple sign-up process. Before I introduce our two presenters today, I just wanted to take a step back and explain why we did this. When I think about it, there are really two things that are core to what we do at PracticePanther. First, we listen to our customers, all of you, as our best product ideas always come from you, and we want to make sure that we're addressing your needs. And then the second is that we want to serve as a one-stop shop for you, so you don't have to find point solutions for the 10 different things you need to do to manage your business. I imagine this one-stop shop or fully native approach is one of the many reasons you signed up for PracticePanther in the first place. When we listened to all of you over the past few years, and especially the past few months, we heard over and over that payments was a huge pain point. The average law firm collects 70 cents on every dollar billed, and a solution that puts more of your earnings into your pocket is just a no-brainer. In the COVID-19 world that we're all living in, we've found that this need has only been intensified. We're getting paid by physical check or cash. It's just not possible for many people. So we spent the last few months heads down building the new PantherPayments, and we're just beyond excited to share more about it with all of you today. So let's get to it. I'd love to introduce our co-hosts for today. First, we have Sarah Schaaf, our GM of Payments. Sarah spent almost a decade practicing law before co-founding HeadNote, an online payments platform made specifically for lawyers. As a lawyer, she experienced firsthand how painful it can be to get paid and deal with inefficient accounts receivable processes. Sarah brings considerable payments and financial services expertise to our team, as well as her perspective as a former practicing attorney. And then we have Sam Alcobi, our head of sales. You've probably spoken to Sam in the past, so he probably doesn't need an introduction, but I'll give one anyways. For several years, Sam has spoken with firms like yours every single day about how they can harness the power of PracticePanther to make running their firm easier. He also led our beta program for PantherPayments, serving as that liaison between our customers and our payments team. He's the expert when it comes to your needs in PracticePanther and how we can get the most out of PantherPayments. Thank you all for joining us today, and with that, I will hand it over to Sarah and Sam.
Thank you, Soumya. I think I can speak for both Sam and myself when I say that we are just so excited to be here today and get to give everybody an introduction to the new PantherPayments. We're going to do our best today to keep things efficient. We know how valuable your time is and how busy you all are. But just to give you a little overview of what this webinar will look like, we're going to spend a little bit of time diving into the new PantherPayments, kind of going through some of the highlights, some of the key differentiators from other processors, and some of the new features that we've developed and launched. We'd also love to hear from you. So please use the Q&A that you see in that black or gray bar, the Zoom bar. Use that Q&A to submit your questions throughout the webinar. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll get to as many of the questions as we can so that we can have a really nice discussion and make sure that we are staying on top of everything that's important to you guys. So with that, let's just jump right in. Soumya said it best in her intro, but I think a question on everyone's mind is why now, right? Most companies are scaling back since COVID began, and here we are at PracticePanther releasing this new all-in-one system and really leveling up, definitely not holding back. And like Soumya said, now more than ever, how you get paid matters. It should come as no surprise that even before COVID, 78% of consumers ranked a digital payment method as their preferred payment option. We're all consumers on this webinar. We all have to pay for things, and we all know that paying online or paying with a credit card, debit card, or an e-check is much better than needing to hand somebody cash or a check. So offering your clients an online payment option used to be a nice to have for many firms. And arguably, especially since COVID has begun, it's become a must have regardless of firm size. And similar to your experience paying for things online, if that's the same as your client's experience, right? Their payment experience matters just as much as every other touch point you have. Like when you respond to their questions promptly or do good legal work or have somebody available to answer the phone when they call to get a consultation. You know, if you give clients a more modern payment experience that's easier for them, it will result in more satisfied clients. And generally, clients pay faster online. And when clients pay faster, there's a correlation between them paying more on the dollar. The more time that passes, the less you collect on the dollar. So really, that's why we feel like this is especially important in today's day and age.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarah. So you can see on this slide, all the points that Sarah just made are things that have really resonated with a lot of people that I've spoken to in the past. So I'm happy that she brought some of that up. And a lot of you are probably wondering right now, like, what's the difference, right? Why Panther Payments over other payment options? Why should I use this for my firm? Well, first, as you heard, if you are already getting paid online, then you're already collecting more and getting paid faster. So kudos to you. You got a leg up on a lot of the competition. But with Panther Payments, the users are actually getting paid up to 70% times faster than the average solution. So it's become really an absolute necessity, like it was just mentioned, for modern businesses, especially law firms. You know, the evolution of technology is really taking this industry by storm, and we want you to be at the forefront of it with us. So with the new Panther Payments, you're going to get ABA and IOLTA and State Bar trust compliance that you need, as well as built-in PCI compliance. So these are some of the cornerstones of the new Panther Payments. Another cornerstone is really the transparency behind it all, right? So like, we want you to know the transaction fees you're going to be paying before your client even makes their payment, not afterwards. That's why our pricing is flat regardless of the card type. And you can also download a statement with processing fees that are directly from your PracticePanther dashboard on demand. We'll also go into a little bit more about the pricing and the details in just a few minutes. But at the end of the day, what I hear most often from our users is that they want PracticePanther to be really their all-in-one system, right? And that now obviously includes payments, which in my opinion is really going to be a catalyst towards a lot of the things we build out on top of that and in the future to make this more of the all-in-one program that everyone is looking for. So that's why payments, like I said, has become a really core native part of the PracticePanther platform. We really just want all of the functionality that you need to be able to get it directly from your operating system. So bringing payments in-house means that you no longer need to use any third-party vendors for your payments. You can get all of the payment functionality and support from the PracticePanther team a lot of you already know, trust, and have dealt with in the past. And there's no longer any need to switch between applications for some of that functionality, like refunds or your QuickBooks Online reconciliation. This is all going to happen directly from within your PracticePanther account. So obviously this will help you work a lot more efficiently. So we want to bring our users as much value as possible from the product they already know and love, like I had mentioned. And then most importantly to us, and Somya mentioned on this in the beginning, is that, you know, our users, what they love really means the most to us. So I speak to a lot of customers about a lot of different things all the time. And it's really a pleasure to have been speaking with them about their payment needs during our beta program, which by the way, has been incredibly successful. So for instance, you can see here, this is Portia. She's a solo attorney. Much like probably a lot of you, she really has no spare time to deal with any types of inefficiencies. So for her, having Panther Payments live entirely in PracticePanther was a complete game changer. As you can see in her quote, she trusts PracticePanther to help run her practice, and she was excited now that we can also help her process and manage her payments. It was a no-brainer for Portia, just like I'm sure it'll be a no-brainer for a lot of you, but we're just so thrilled that she's so happy about this. And then you can see here, this is Miranda, who's a legal assistant at a larger firm. And her team really didn't want to have to deal with any of the time-consuming migration periods or any of the transition processes that might scare off a lot of people. But they took the leap and trusted us. And as you can see here, she and her firm really found that getting started on Panther Payments was extremely easy. And I love seeing such positive feedback. It really makes me so proud of our team and how helpful they've been and will always continue to be. So we're going to now dive into a little bit deeper of a discussion about some of the Panther Payments features and the value it's really going to bring to your firm. I mean, Sarah, you're an attorney, so no one really understands compliance issues that lawyers face when it comes to online payments, probably as well as you. So I want to hand this over to you to give us some, some talking points around that as well.
Oh yeah, great, Sam. That's a great idea. And first of all, just shout out to Sam for just being such a great customer liaison during the beta program we ran for Panther Payments. We had a lot of users that were interested, and Sam did a great job. So Sam has just become such an expert about all of these things and the customer feedback. I love seeing those testimonials.
Can't see, but he has me blushing.
I love that. Okay, so let's get real, right? The trust and the PCI compliance pieces of getting paid, especially as a lawyer, are serious business. I like to say that with the new Panther Payments, we make it seriously easy. Which might sound a little cheesy, but it's true. Like, the whole point of this is that things like trust and PCI compliance should be built into the system you're using so that you don't even need to think about it. All you need to do is think about doing your work, and all your clients have to worry about is clicking a button to pay, and the rest of it should be taken care of for you. And that's what we do with the new Panther Payments. So first, trust compliance, right? I am pretty positive almost everybody on this webinar understands why trust compliance is so important, but I'll just briefly state it in case you're really new and just thinking about online payments for the first time, new to payments. The way you get paid matters. Every state bar has different rules. The ABA has rules. IOLTA and how how interest on lawyers' trust accounts are collected obviously is governed by every state as well, and federally. It's a big deal. If you are not using a compliant payment solution, you risk non-compliance. The penalties can be severe. They can include disbarment in some cases. So you need to be really careful with how you're managing trust funds, and that includes how you're getting paid. So with Panther Payments, you don't have to worry. In a nutshell, the trust funds are never commingled with operating funds, even during the online transmission process when possible. The trust funds are deposited in whole and are always protected from third-party access. So what that means is no fees will ever come out of your trust funds. They're always going to be directed to your operating account. If you ever do have a chargeback or any kind of other fund return or third-party access, it will never be allowed to the trust funds. It will always be directed to the operating account. So, and as a result, the new Panther Payments is 100% compliant with IOLTA, with the ABA model rules of professional conduct regarding online payments, and the state bar rules for all 50 state bars regarding online payment acceptance. So please, public service announcement, if you're using PayPal or Stripe or something that's not a compliant option for trust account payments, please don't do so unless you're absolutely positive that that's permitted in your state, because the consequences are just too severe. Especially when there's an easy, affordable option like Panther Payments on the market, which is compliant by design and made for you and built into your system. Why use something that you would take that risk? And then what is PCI, right? PCI Data Security Standard, the PCI DSS. So that stands for the Payments Card Industry Data Security Standard. And what this really comes down to is that these are rules that regulate how financial and sensitive personal information is transmitted and stored related to financial transactions and financial services. So the new Panther Payments has PCI compliance built in. All data is encrypted to ensure that your client has a safe and reliable payment experience, and both yours and your client's personal and financial information is always protected as well. PCI compliance is also always included at no extra cost. That's one differentiator from some other online payment providers. We won't charge you an extra cost to get your PCI compliance. And so that's always going to be included with Panther Payments. And, as we touched upon, this all comes down to what will my client experience, right? That's probably the next most natural question. What will it be like for them to pay me with the new Panther Payments? I mean, at the end of the day, we did this for you, the users, and for your clients. And as an attorney myself, I know that those two things go hand in hand, right? Like happy clients, happy practice, happy attorneys. At the end of the day, so much of what we do is about client satisfaction. And I want everyone to start thinking about that payment touch point as part of that client experience you're giving them. So don't just give them, options that don't include something easy, but also not all online payment experiences are created equal. And just to put this in perspective, I want you guys to think about different payment platforms you used in the past when you were paying somebody. Some of them make you open up an account and actually choose a new username and password, as if you need one other thing to remember. Some of them make you link your account using your account and routing number. So then you have to go find your checkbook. Like, what's the point of online payment if you're still going to make your client go and find their checkbook? That kind of negates part of the reason that you did it in the first place, right? Reduce frustration and friction in getting paid. And so if you think about how hard it has been, maybe you've signed up one time with Bill.com, or you opened a PayPal account and you had to link your bank accounts and do manual account verification with those micro deposits you receive, 12 cents, 13 cents, and they take them back and you verify. That's not a good user experience. We don't want to do that to your client. So we built the new Panther Payments to be the most client-friendly payment tool in the market. And that is for all of our payment methods, right? So credit cards for sure. You can see all of the logos at the top. There are numerous ways for your client to pay you via credit card with the new Panther Payments. They can click a link in your invoice to make a payment. They can call and pay you over the phone. You can run a card in office if any of you are even having clients come to your office these days, or if you're even in your office. You can save a card on file, or your client can, for future use, so that it can just be used by your firm to run future payments for invoices, for services rendered, or for retainer, evergreen retainers, if you get the client's permission ahead of time. So it makes it super convenient. So when it comes to the credit card options, we've got you covered, and anything your client wants, they'll be able to do with Panther Payments. But for us, it isn't just all about credit card payments, okay? It's about also just leveling up payments for lawyers in general. You guys deserve better solutions and better tools, not just something that not just something that you're used to using because you had to. And so we thought about that with our e-check. And I personally think that e-check is an incredibly important part of online payments for lawyers. And I think that it's something that we're going to see increase over the years. One reason is that not everybody wants to pay with a credit card. Not all kinds of clients can pay with a credit card. Traditionally, we've seen a lot of clients, a lot of types of clients, corporate, business clients, different kinds of organizations that want to pay you directly from their bank. They want to pay you via a wire transfer. They want to pay you some way that they can just take that money directly out of their bank account. Or on the other side of the spectrum, you have types of clients that just don't have access to credit, right? Or don't have the kind of credit, available credit on their cards that are able to pay you with cards. So giving clients an e-check option will actually give you a higher likelihood of getting paid, because it's just, you're casting a wider net. It's giving your client more options, and that means that you are going to be able to have more opportunities to get paid quickly and easily. But like I said, not all e-check or all payment providers are created equally. There's a few things that distinguish our e-check that I think are really, really interesting, okay? First of all, your clients never need to deal with finding their account and routing numbers or their checkbook to make a payment to you. They're going to click the link in your invoice, and they are going to be directed to our interface, which will allow them to connect their bank account to manually, to link their bank account without anything manual. It happens within a couple of seconds using their online banking credentials. And then they're able to select which account they'd like to make the payment from, and click, and boom, it's done. It's incredibly easy, and it doesn't require your client to deal with any waiting periods or feel frustrated at any point. And so again, that's what's so important about it for the client, but also for you. We're the only provider in the legal industry that is that's able to give you same-day access to your e-check funds. So what this means is that if you get paid with PracticePanther's e-check, you will get those funds deposited into your bank within 24 hours of when your client made the payment. I know how important it is, especially for small firms, to have fast access to their funds. That can be the difference between making payroll or not. I worked at my dad's firm, a mid-sized firm, when I was growing up. It was incredibly busy and incredibly successful, and yet it was living, hand to mouth. And that wasn't because of anything that my dad or his business partners were doing different than other firms. It was just, that's the way it goes. Okay. There was a long payment cycle. In particular, they were doing insurance defense. So it took them a long, long time to get paid, both from those clients and from their private and corporate clients. So get that money quicker. It can make a huge difference in how you grow your firm or how you invest in your firm faster. But one part that's really important is that if you've ever used another e-check provider, you might have noticed that you will send the link to your client will make the payment. You think that it's gone through, and then a few days later, you get a notification that the payment actually failed, and your client is frustrated. Now you have to go back to your client, which is a little embarrassing, and say, I'm so sorry, can you do this again? Well, that's because of the technology that e-check was built on. So the reason that happens is because the banks are talking to one another, and the client's bank is going to ping your bank to say, hey, we've got this payment queued up. Because of the e-check process you're using, the payment request essentially times out. So you have to then go back to your client and do it again. That will never happen with the new Panther payments because we have a more modern solution. You don't have to worry about timed out requests or needing to go back to clients because you need to have them do it again. And Sam, I know that you've heard about that frustration from clients in the past.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've spoken to so many clients and I've heard of that, and I was just so super excited, and they were even more excited to hear, how we're going to be able to alleviate a lot of that pain that you just went over. So thanks for that awesome insight, Sarah.
No problem.
So yeah, so I do want to talk a little bit more about, what she led me to, where Panther Payments really has a lot of payment automation features that are going to help streamline your workflows and operationalize your collections. So every feature we build is all about automation and streamlining, and payments is no exception to that. It's always been this way with other features and things like that. And of course, once we brought on payments, like I said, there was no reason not to treat that exactly the same. So Sarah covered some of the basics, but there are many ways to get paid, right? So you can send an invoice with a pay now button. You can manually run a card in person or over the phone. You can save a card on file for future use. But I think my favorite is the automatic recurring payment plans, right? So you're going to be able to just set it and forget it, right? So clients love this because they don't have to do anything. And not only our clients love it, but your end user clients love it as well. Here's my card, let it charge X amount over the, whatever amount of installments. And there's really no better way to ensure that you get paid. It gives you the flexibility to offer clients that option of a payment plan to pay down their balance over time. So client A owes you, $10,000. You want to get $500 for the next 20 months. You set that up once, and then you and your client are good to go.
And Sam, I'll just jump in quickly. I also love this because for firms that are dealing with or like to operate on a flat fee billing system, where they just every month they know that they're going to charge the client the same amount on the same day, you can set that up, and then that will just continue for your entire relationship with the client. And that just right there eliminates some of that back and forth each month and internal work that maybe you or your team is doing. So super handy no matter how you like to get paid.
100%. And great point. You just made me, think about how, it's been said that I've spoken to a lot of clients over, the years that I've been here at PracticePanther. And what I'm also noticing, because you mentioned the flat fee thing, is that a lot of clients are even getting away from hourly billing. They want to just charge X amount, whether it's per matter or per month to be on retainer and things like that. So they don't have to worry about the timing aspect as well. So it seems like this would help there too. We've also made, some great enhancements to the payments related automation with the notifications. So it makes your internal processes a lot more efficient. So things like automatic payment reminders that get sent to your clients so that the invoice can be paid in full. Any payment or payment failure notifications, you'll get notified in app. And you'll also be able to get an email to the firm members that you set those notifications on for. So again, really useful there. And you can get automated receipts sent to your clients as soon as the payment is completed. I really love the automated reminders because it helps with those like awkward collection interactions. Not that I've had to deal with them, but I can only imagine what that's like. The next thing I hear is that people really love in the new system is that everything happens again within PracticePanther. So it really makes a huge difference for so many of our users, right? So now you can get automatic reconciliation between PracticePanther and your online payments. And this is true for all you QuickBooks Online users with PracticePanther. Now Panther Payments will automatically reconcile to your connected QuickBooks Online account. So again, this is so huge for so many firms.
I mean, that one is like huge. The amount of times that we, hear about that from users, and I've done it and had to deal with going back and forth between, an operating system in QuickBooks and your bank. Like honestly a nightmare. It's just one of those things that I really dislike. I don't even think people who are, CPAs like doing that kind of work, even though they love living in numbers and spreadsheets. So just for me, that alone is like a humongous differentiator.
Yeah, I mean, around that functionality, because now we have in-house refunds. So you just go, you hover over your payment, you can issue a refund. So there's really no longer the need to, leave PracticePanther after a payment's made, go to the third-party processor, issue the refund on the other program, then come back to PracticePanther, reconcile that refund in our system, and then have to go to QuickBooks Online to do it there as well. Now it's all actually happening seamlessly and simultaneously from within PracticePanther. So I can only imagine what a huge time saver that's going to be for everyone. And like I said, people have already told me, the ones on the early adopters and the beta people, how this has really helped in that aspect as well. And then really last, but of course not least, is something that's really tactical, but also very important to avoid client frustration. I've heard users tell me that with some other processors, if their client is on the web page, right, and they're going to go pay their invoice, maybe it's not loading after they click the pay button, so they go and they click it again. So sometimes they have told me that the end client is actually getting charged twice. So that is something that will not happen with us. We have security standards set behind this and built to make sure that a double click will not result in a double payment. It's funny, this happened to my parents when they were like paying their closing costs online for a house a while back through like the attorney's office or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a bad time for it to happen.
They were not I really hope, Sarah, that that office is on this webinar though.
I mean, of all the payments to get double charged for, that one would give me heartburn and cause a lot of stress. Even if I knew I was going to get the money back because it was a mistake, it still would give me a lot of anxiety in the meantime. So yeah, I love that because again, it's all about what your client feels. And if you frustrate your client because they pay you and then they pay twice and then you got to deal with refunding them or, whatever they have to do to get the money back, it's just a total pain. So yeah, there's no excuse for that happening. Okay, Sam, those were great points. I'll just like double click for a moment on a couple of the things that we've kind of mentioned a little, but are also, again, new offerings, new parts of this feature differentiators. And that's some of our reporting and analytics. So we have made some really awesome improvements to the reporting and analytics, especially those related to payments within your PantherPayments dashboard. So if you've used other processors in the past, you might have been disappointed with the reporting functionality. That might be an understatement. I know I've used a few different processors and the reports almost feel like they're made to be confusing. Some will still send paper statements and then you have to like wait for it in the mail. It takes weeks to get there. You got to find it. You got to put it in a file. The whole thing is frankly a pain. And when you get the statement, it's like tiniest font and you can't read it very well. Don't really know what it all means. We wanted to change that, right? Like we're all about transparency. We want you to know exactly where you stand on the exact fees that were taken out of every single payment. Then we want you to have it whenever you want it. So PantherPayments reports are on demand. So you can have real-time access to all of your processing information, including your fees. You can download the reports on demand anytime from your PracticePanther account. And you can even do it every day if you want it. We'll update up to the minute. And then obviously if it gets misplaced or, you need to go look for it later, it's right there within PracticePanther. It all lives within the cloud. You can change the date ranges to get the exact report that you want for that period of time. But again, it's all going to live within PracticePanther. So it eliminates the need for you to be dealing with anything outside of PracticePanther, but other software, but also like just paper. And it makes your month-end reconciliation process much easier. You can get those reports like the day the month ends so that you can do a month close, within the first week or 10 days of the month, instead of waiting for a statement or kind of going back through your QuickBooks and your bank account and trying to match up the payments and the fees. You're going to have a much easier time with this. So if you're a solo, huge, right? I've done this kind of stuff. It's awful, especially if you are someone who bills for your time and this isn't part of what you get paid for. But if you are getting paid for this kind of work, because you're somebody that works in a billing department or an accountant, this also isn't like the stuff that you love doing. It's busy work. So don't do it. Let a system do it for you and get at whatever you want when you need it. Knowledge is power. So we want you to have all of the knowledge so that you can go out there and and be as powerful as you can. And then as far as our analytics, so the payments reports and the grids, kind of the payment grid ties everything together so you can see everything in real time and up to date. That includes the status of all payments, any failed payments, any recurring payments that occurred or failed for any reason. So you'll instantly know which payments were successful, pending, refunded, failed. There's also additional reports included with Panther Payments to help you drill into your firm's finances and productivity. And these will help give you insight into your firm's payment efficiency. So you can filter your payments by contact or matter to see exactly where the payments are coming from. And one of the things that I like the best is that you can actually see who at your firm is collecting how much into your operating and trust accounts. And so as an attorney, which most of you on this webinar are, we're all very familiar with the hourly billable requirements for every year, right? Your annual billable requirements. But I think we all know that those also don't always, turn into collections. So it's like, why we're so focused on hours billed when really it should be like hours collected. These reports help you actually see like who at your firm is helping you collect more, who's actually collecting more compared to what they're billing, right? Like, again, with this all living in PracticePanther, you now can compare hours billed by a particular attorney or for a particular client or on a particular matter to money paid for a particular attorney, particular client, particular matter. So again, powerful to have all of those things in one place, because when we have access to all of that within our system, we can actually give you more value, show you more reports, more analytics. And this is something we're continuing to build on because we find it to be so helpful that you can have a place where at, just one glance, you can know a little bit about not just where your firm has been, but also where it's going. What are the next couple months going to look like based on what we've been seeing? So I'm really excited about that stuff. And again, Sam, I know that this is something that the users are asking for and they're excited about.
And just to add a little to that, I'm looking at the attendee list, and it's just so awesome to see how many, longtime loyal PracticePanther clients you're watching, how many, people may have not been using processing payments, or if they were, but also really to see the new people that are, trialing the program and just taking a look at the webinar. And I want to point out everything Sarah just mentioned, you can utilize our incredible tagging system as well. So if I want to be able to tag, well, how much in fees did I pay for, in family law versus criminal law? All of those analytics are still tied into your PracticePanther program.
Oh, I love that. And collecting in those areas, because again, get with COVID and just everything, there are some firms I know that are trying to look at where do I place my bets? Do we need to pivot and try to find more work in,
Right.
family law because our litigation practice has gotten slower. And so I think that's incredibly helpful just to make those decisions about where to get the most bang for your buck out of your business.
Marketing money and everything.
Right.
Yep. So let's talk fees and pricing, which I'm sure is on a lot of people's mind. And obviously this is a very important part of it. Other processors have what we call varying rates, right? So offering one lower rate for a debit card versus another rate for what we would call a specialty card. But what a lot of people don't realize is that almost all cards are specialty cards, right? So any credit card, including Visa, MasterCards, if it has a rewards program, or if it's a corporate card, a card that you get 1% cash back on gas, another 2% on groceries. Those are really all specialty cards that you would probably see falls under that higher variable rate. So although some processors may have a lower advertised rate for certain card types, like I said, most firms actually end up paying the higher rate without even realizing. So that brings me to our rate. Our rate's going to be a flat 2.8% rate for all card types. Whether it's an Amex or any other card type, you don't have to worry about varying rates. So there's no more worrying or you have no control over what your client is using to pay. So this gives you a lot more insight and a lot more comfortable, consistent visibility over the fees you're going to be paying. There's also no additional set per charge fee. So sometimes you'll see that you have 30 cents per transaction on top of the regular percentage rate. With us, that does not exist. There's no processing on minimums or maximums, meaning you can take that well-deserved vacation for a month, and if you're not collecting any payments over that month, we're not collecting any fees from you as well, okay? And you also don't need to pay for a higher processing volume limit, and we never charge any type of, monthly fees or a la carte fees for adding extra accounts. So that extra operating account or trust account that your firm may need to add, we're not going to charge you for that. And there's no varying rates on any of that, like I had mentioned. Now, also, like other processors, some cards may incur some small additional network fees that we pass on at cost with no markup. So that's really important to understand as well. And remember, these fees do not really apply to all transactions. They may apply to some, but in any case, when you bake those fees into the overall rate with us, you're still getting generally a smaller and lower effective rate than a lot of other processors are offering you. So we're happy
Yeah.
to go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sam, I don't mean to jump in. I just saw one question and
Yeah.
essentially asking, is that 2.8% like the flat set rate, or is that like a blended average? And that's a great question. And the answer is that it's a flat rate. And we're actually trying to avoid that blended average that so many of you have kind of had to get used to, because that could mean that some months it's 2.7 and some months it's, 3.4, because you got a lot of Amex payments or something coming through. So
Right.
no, this is the price, and you don't have to worry about what if, I have a different rate next month or anything like that.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, Sarah, we're always happy to help with rate comparisons. If you're interested, to learn a little bit more about maybe what you're paying in transaction fees with other processors, bring it to us. And, we're happy to help in any way we can.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I know, depending on frankly, most of the processor statements are a little confusing. So it's hard to know exactly where to find information, but, we're happy to help you figure out if you'll save money with the new Panther payments. Because again, that's super important to us. We want this to be something that our users get incredible value from, but we also want it to be something that, you feel like you're really getting a lot of, bang for your buck, to use that expression again. And so in addition to, the pricing of, no variable rates on cards and consistent card pricing, we also are really excited about all of these things that are included, which is another differentiator from some other processors. So we have chargeback assistance that's totally included. We are really proud of our chargeback assistance and how we set this up. One key differentiator is that with other processors, there are times where if a chargeback is initiated by your client, if they say that, this charge isn't recognized, for instance, those funds will then get immediately pulled from the lawyer's operating accounts and they're held for 90 days during the adjudication process. With us, we won't pull those funds from you. Those funds will stay in your account during the adjudication process unless the reason that your client listed is fraud, which is not the majority of reasons. The majority of reasons are things like charge not recognized. So you can rest assured that money will stay with you, in most instances, while it's adjudicated. We'll work with you to understand what kind of evidence you should submit. We'll help you submit that evidence and do it on your behalf. So we're really proud of that. And then there is no like a la carte pricing. We're not going to say like, oh, you want to use that feature, that's going to cost more. Oh, you want to add more trust and operating accounts, that's going to cost more. No, you get unlimited trust and operating accounts to connect. So again, if you're a firm with multiple offices where you have multiple trust and operating accounts, those can be up to $20 a month per account that you connect. That's an additional cost to you guys. And that isn't always included on, the processor's statement, because that's your processing fees. These are monthly fees. Those might be being charged separately. So you can connect as many of those accounts as you want to the new Panther payments. We also don't require a minimum. So like Sam said, you can go on vacation for a month. I hope we all get to do that someday. And you don't need to worry about needing to process. And we can have, we have higher limits than other processors. So we can do customized limits. If you've been frustrated because you have clients that want to make bigger payments and you haven't been able to get those limits, we're happy to give you the limit that you need, within reason. But really, if you want a high limit, we're happy to work with you. And then all the things on the right that are included, we've already spoke about: the trust compliance, the ILTA compliance, the tokenization encryption, and all of the other security features that are built in, as well as that PCI compliance. And that data security, all of that is included in that 2.8% flat fee pricing for that you saw on the slide that Sam spoke about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I would hope, and I'm pretty confident at this point, Sarah, people are probably like, well, is switching hard? Like, this sounds
Right.
great, right? So,
yeah, that seems to be the next question usually.
Exactly. So I just want to reference also one of the testimonials from before where Miranda said this was just an extremely painless and easy process. So if you are interested in enjoying these benefits that we're talking about, that Panther Payments can now bring to your firm, but maybe you're not sure where to start, don't worry, we're here for you. We're happy to help. It's so easy to set up. And it isn't an integration. Again, we're adding this to the platform, or it's added to the platform already. And it's really just a fundamental part of PracticePanther. So if you've ever had a different payment processor attached to PracticePanther in the past, we've done everything possible to make it easy for you to switch directly from within our product itself. And that is no need for any migration specialist or anything like that. So you can really do this on your own. But again, we're here and happy to help. And then of course, once you're approved for the new Panther payments, you'll be guided through a really easy process to get any ongoing payment plans transferred to your account. Now, applying to Panther Payments really just takes, maybe 5 to 7 minutes or so. And most accounts are really reviewed and approved in under 1 week. So the application is in your account, under your settings, and it's ready to be filled out. Now, on top of that, we really hope that this webinar has made you excited about Panther Payments. I know we're stoked about it on our end. So in addition to that, we really want to offer a little promo to get you a little bit more excited. So if you do sign up now, you're also going to get $150 in cash back bonus towards your transaction fees. So what that really means is that once you pay $150 in fees, we will reimburse that right to your operating account just for trying the new Panther Payments out for free. So I think that should hopefully entice and get people, people going there, Sarah.
Definitely. And like, just again, it's like, we want to make this something that people love. And so give it a try for free and see if you like it. And then, as to Sam said about, making the transition, if you're using another processor, we really did make it as easy as possible. And so we're excited to kind of show some of you that. I think, Sam, like, this is really, we're at the end of our content. We're right at, 40 minutes or so. So we're staying in kind of a good timing, staying on track. We've got a few minutes. I think let's answer some questions. And
yeah, I mean, I can see a lot have been pouring in. So what should maybe let's take some of the common ones we're seeing.
Yes. There are a ton of them, and so many people on this webinar. It's so exciting to see people are so interested. Yeah, Sam, why don't you pick one that's like the one you hear the most commonly, and we can just
seeing a few, and from when I've spoken to people, a lot of people really want to know about their rates, like how do they know if they're lower or higher. So I'm seeing one here. I think I have lower rates with my current processor. How can I tell? So that's an awesome question, and respect, because I would be worried about that too. But so many people just don't have a handle on that right now. They're not sure what they're paying with, a lot of the other fees and things like that. So I would just encourage you to reach out to us and talk with us about that. And we can get down to the bottom of what your rates actually are.
Yeah, and of course, we're always happy to do that. Cause again, it's like, we want this to make sense for, for our valued PracticePanther community. So let us help you see if it does make sense. Okay, I'll take one, Sam. Let me look. There's a few that are asking about additional features that are going to be added over time, which, it gets me like excited because there's so many things we can add on to payments. And frankly, now that this is something that we're doing in-house, we have the ability to actually tailor our roadmap to your feedback. So if you want additional things related to payments, you can let us know, and we can actually take that feedback straight to, our schedule of what we're going to build. Prior to this, we weren't able to do that because we didn't get to control the payments functionality, but now we can. So yes, your feedback is incredibly important. What you all want is what we want to build. So absolutely, there will be more features. We can, for sure, there's a lot more that are on our roadmap coming up over the next couple of weeks and months. And then we're looking at some more really interesting stuff in the next year or two. So yeah, if you sign up for Panther Payments, you'll get access to more and more of those features, which, won't necessarily be available with another processor. And not because we can't offer it, because we don't have access to that data, right? It's hard to give you an end-to-end experience and give you all of these cool features and analytics and insights if we don't actually have a lot of the data within our system. So yeah, absolutely. More features are coming.
Right. So let's see what else.
Yeah, Sam, you take one.
All right, here's one. What does it mean to be an all-in-one system? Great question again. So this basically just means, and I think I touched on it before, but it is important. So that's why I picked this question. You're billing in PracticePanther. You're sending out invoices from PracticePanther. So now you're going to be able to process those payments from PracticePanther. It goes from PracticePanther to your QuickBooks Online account automatically and seamlessly. So having everything in one is something that is really important to us when it comes to your time billing, getting paid, and invoicing. So again, great question. And I just wanted to tie that all together so that people understand. This is now becoming, the all-in-one system we all have been thriving to create. And we're just going to continue to build on top of this now, as Sarah mentioned, to make it even better and easier for your lives as you're, obviously practicing law out there.
Yeah, I mean, that all-in-one is, I just think it's so important. Okay, I'm seeing a few that are like a little incredulous. Like, are there really any other monthly fees or additional costs? And the answer is no. It really is just the flat transaction fees. There's no monthly membership fees. Again, PCI compliance, additional accounts, unlimited, a higher limit, no processing minimums, trust compliance, all of that's included. There's the set transaction fees of 2.8 flat for all card types. There are additional, it doesn't happen on every transaction. Some firms don't ever have any network fees. Some have very small, on average, they're about 0.1%. There may be some small additional network fees that are passed through without any cost, as Sam said. And that really just depends on, a few factors, but again, it's nothing that we don't see it often. But no other fees. Everything else is included.
And that's that transparency piece for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one. Again, we touched on this, but I want to make it crystal clear. So will we be able to direct payments to different operating accounts as well as different trust accounts? Yes, 100%. And on top of that, just to sweeten it a little bit more, is you're not going to pay for these additional accounts. So if you have 5 operating accounts and 3 trust accounts, for whatever reason, your firm is in different, locations and things like that, and you need additional accounts, you can add as many as you need. We'll get them approved so you can start collecting and routing payments to the different ones, again, at no additional charge to you guys.
Okay, we're almost out of time. We'll squeeze in a couple more. People, feel free to drop off if you want. I'll actually put our contact info up in case anyone drops off. You can reach out with any other questions. Yeah, Sam, go ahead.
I was just going to say the last one I wanted you to answer because I went over it, but I would love to hear your perspective on how hard is it to switch?
Yeah, and we're seeing a bunch like that, I think. And I see a couple as well that are like, what about my payment plans? Which is a great question. And so that was actually something really important to us in how we were going to create this, is that if you are a firm that's used a payments integration with PracticePanther in the past and you have cards on file or you have payment plans set up, when you sign up for the new Panther payments, you will stay connected to your existing processor until you're approved. So you don't have to have any interruption in service. And then once you're approved, you're going to be guided through within the product, this very easy transition. So you can get your plans moved over. It just takes a few minutes. It doesn't require you to be doing any heavy lifting, but
Right.
and you don't even need to talk with a customer support specialist if you don't want. If you want to, they're there, but you don't need like a migration specialist. It's something that you'll be guided through very easily within the product, so you can have a really seamless transition. And again, we want to make sure all your plans get transferred over easily. We don't want you to miss any payments or have any interruption in service or frankly get frustrated. So it actually is very easy to switch, and we really took time and energy to ensure that.
Exactly. Thanks for that, Sarah. And it's always a pleasure hanging and talking with you, Sarah.
You too, Sam. Okay, last one I think would be a good one to end on for you, Sam. How can I schedule a demo? So that feels like up your alley.
Yeah, that's a great question. Just simple. Reach out to us, email us, call us, let us know you want to check it out. And we're going to get right on that for you as soon as possible. But I do want to remind everyone that if you've used payments in the past on our program, a lot of the functionality is the same. But again, you're going to get a lot of those improved enhancements. But I definitely encourage you to reach out to myself if you already have my contact information, or to our support team, or anyone here at PracticePanther to be able to help you with all of that.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a contact you already know, feel free to reach out to them. And then if you want to learn a little bit more in the meantime, you can go to practicepanther.com/PantherPayments, which is on your screen. And that has a lot of great information, including some, summarized version of a lot of the things Sam and I talked about today. And then of course you can reach out to Sam or I, or anybody else at PracticePanther, and we're always happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. And if we didn't get to your question, we will definitely follow up with you with a response. So don't worry. And thank you again